I've been very fortunate. I'm a drummer by profession, percussionist as well, although my primary instrument truly is the drum set. And anybody in the craft and field understands why we say that. You'll hear that approach actually on the Udu in my style too. I first met the Udu drum, which would be the first time that I got involved with it, at a NAMM show. That's a music merchants show, trade show. And Frank Giorgini, as well as Brian Mellick, were there showing the drums. In a small booth downstairs, they had all the drums up on stands and they had headphones attached to them. And that in itself was just intriguing. What the heck are these clay drum things with headphones attached to it? So I walked over there with my sister in rhythm at the time, Bean of the Cuckoo, and we proceeded to find out about the Udu drum. And we were taken, both of us. Just sheer joy emerged from both of us with the sound this drum gave off. When Brian played it, when we all played it, wow, I'll never forget that. In fact, I believe Frank Giorgini captured that moment on tape with a picture. I think that there's a few things that are very unique about the drum. One is its sound. Its sound penetrates your heart, your spirit, in a way that there's only a few instruments that are like that. A tabla is like that. It has a sound that is so piercing that it just moves through your body. But what's so cool about the Udu, unlike the tabla and any other drum has a skin on it, or is basically, the sound is an abrasive sound. So when it's hit, even though lightly, it still pushes people back. And you go, oh wow, what's that, right? But the Udu is very special because it, when you play that sound, invites people in. It pulls people right in, whether there's 1 or 500 or 1,000. I've seen it at festivals, it's pretty amazing. So I think that nature of the sound is different. I think that that there are few drums that do carry all the elements. Like I said, the clay is the earth, the air gives the expression, and the pitch, of course. It has a water-like sound. And then I often say, we bring the fire, our spirits. So it really has all the elements within a musical instrument. Not to mention that it is also an item, or was used in daily life, which I love. The Udu drum brings to my music a unique voice of expression that I never thought I'd quite find. I first started playing music as a drummer, a drum set drummer. And let's face it, there's a zillion drum set drummers, and we're always still impressed, and this is true of any instrument, a great saxophonist or any artist. We're always impressed about how someone can find something different to express through this medium. The Udu really gave my voice expression. I know that I found, when I play the Udu, no one sounds like me on the planet when I play the Udu, even though there's many great Udu players. And yes, when I play drum set, that may be true too, but there's something about it that ignites with my energy and ignites a fire within me that I'm often, I lose touch of what I'm doing in the moment when I'm performing on Udu a lot of times. It really does carry me away to a different place. I think that the relationship between the player, the listener, and the Udu drum is very spiritual, is very psychological. There's a term in acoustics and audio they call psychoacoustic. They know it works, but they don't know why it works. There's something that symbiotically goes, I think the vibration, it actually travels through the body in a different, unique way that I think is more, less, like I said, less abrasive, more harmonizing. Interesting because this drum is played by women, a lot of it, so there's a very feminine quality in its sound and nature as well. And I think that that resonates with people, the novice listener and participant as well. Besides the fact that it's an instrument they haven't seen before, so they don't feel the limitations of it. When we've met Frank and the Udu drum, he was just as taken to meet us because he shared with us that this drum had been traditionally played by women in Nigeria, and not all that much was known about a lot of that, the rhythms or anything. There's a lot of folklore around it, and I'm sure a lot to learn. It's pretty interesting stuff. As far as the women and the Udu drum are concerned, women have an incredible affinity with this instrument. The common woman who may have no musical background whatsoever. There's something about the vessel of the instrument, a woman being a vessel. There's something about the roundness of the instrument. So many times, some of the different models that Frank makes, like the udongo, or the mbwata, even women will compare it to, wow, it looks like a woman, or it reminds me of a woman, or something very feminine about it. And then, like I said, the actual sound, too, being not abrasive, it has a feminine quality, even though it can be played very strongly. Another interesting point with the women is, we've talked about what we imagine the women to have been doing back in that day. We imagine them to be carrying water down to wherever they get water, back to their tribes, and then sitting around at the end of the day, probably just playing them. And as Abbas has shared, those were the lullabies sung to the children. I mean, it's very connected with women. So when I get women together in this day and age and share the Udu with them, it's amazing to hear what emerges, both from their spirits, but also from musically. They have no idea what they're playing. They have no idea. They may never have played anything before. But the music that we're able to make together, the bonds of friendship that we're able to create, the change that they're able to create within themselves to maybe feel a little more empowered than they left, or like maybe, things could get better or whatever was going on in their day. To see and witness that transformation, wow, in this day and age, that's big stuff. Working with Dukuku, of course, an electronic percussion ensemble, it was like being in MIDI University. These guys were at the top of their field. They were doing things and hearing music in such a unique way. That led to my working with Mickey Hart, doing sound design for him, creating sounds, building his electronic rig to play. Many times we would play Udus on the instruments, sampled, of course. And Udus are a fabulous sound to layer with other sounds, to create brand new sounds to play. I'm a Zen drum artist. A lot of the second record I'll be releasing on the Udu has a lot more use of the electronic side of the Udu. I've been busy chopping in the chop shop, chopping up Udu samples and snippets, and for use in new software synths to create anew. A lot of my work in electronics isn't to replace an Udu, but to do what I can't do with the acoustic instrument, to map it onto the electronic instrument and then create a new rhythm that you couldn't find on the instrument the way it is laid out acoustically. So I think that the new age, especially with the way I'm showing the Udu drum in terms of new music with hip hop, you'll hear it being played all different aspects of the groove of hip hop, from the bass notes to the melodies, bringing the drum out front to the forefront, like the way a Kenny G would use a saxophone out front or play melodies. That's a lot of what I'm exploring in this second release I have going on. And that will, I think, ignite in other people's minds different ways of using the Udu. I'd like to see Diddy call me to cut some beats for him with the oud.